Inspiring everyone to celebrate, plant, and nurture trees.
Yes, we are so excited because this Friday is going to be Arbor Day. And right now we're joined by Dan Dalton of Davey Tree. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We have our trees over there. We've got, I don't know, these are like bushes or trees or both. The trees, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, we just had Earth Day. Why is it so important that we mark Arbor Day and like doing something like planting a tree? Why is that so important for us?
Well, Arbor Day is actually an older holiday. It was founded back in the 1870s.
Wow.
And just the recognition that trees are such an important part of our environment. You know, for our everyday landscapes, trees are really sort of the anchor point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they provide us with so many benefits.
Such as?
Well, they produce oxygen,
which is
we
great,
need.
we need.
Like oxygen.
Provide shelter for our birdies.
They provide shelters for birds and all sorts of wildlife, insects, and an amazing assortment of different types of animals. And they provide a lot. They provide shade.
Yeah.
Yep.
They cool temperatures. They improve property values. They lower crime. They reduce stress.
They're
a lot
very,
going on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they were back in the day when they told you to hug a tree. There are doctors that now know we have kind of like a chemical response to being near trees.
Yeah.
But if we want to plant a tree, what's the best kind to plant here in Connecticut?
Well, when you the best source for that is to go to a local nursery,
okay.
Because they're really the font of information for this. But basically, the limiting factor for most trees is cold hardiness.
Okay.
Cold hardiness.
Yeah. So you know the temperatures in Hartford get down to probably the lowest temperature might be 0 or even 5 below. So you have to have a tree that can take that. So you wouldn't want to plant a palm tree or a crepe myrtle here.
Okay.
But you could plant, there's such a wide variety of trees that you can plant. There's flowering trees like native dogwoods and redbuds.
Love those.
There's shade trees like oaks and red maples.
We're taking a look at your company right now with some videos up on the screen. Tell us a little bit about how you got started with this.
Me personally, or the company?
Yeah, you and the company.
Well, I followed in my mother's footsteps. She worked for the forestry department in upstate New York in Rochester.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I went to Syracuse to the
So
College
did
of
I.
Environmental Science and Forestry.
Yeah.
Newhouse, right?
I went Newhouse, yeah. You went to the...
I went to the ESF, the College of Environmental
that's really
Science and
terrific.
Forestry.
Great.
And I've been an arborist for over 40 years.
If there is a particular tree, I like to attract certain birds. Certain trees attract certain birds, is that right? Or
Some trees have fruit that will attract birds. So, for instance, things like hollies or well, crab apples, trees like that usually flower, but then they also produce a fruit.
Produce a fruit that'll attract the birds.
So the fruit is the benefit that the birds. They also give shelter to birds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so right now, if you want to get more information, because you can help us a lot with that, we've got davey.com for Davey Tree and also Davey Tree on Facebook.
I want to know if I'm putting a tree in the ground, how far do I have to dig?
Yeah.
And
That's a great question, Scott. Basically, when trees come in 3 different ways. They come bare root, where it's just the roots and you put it in the ground. They come balled and burlap, which is the more common way, and they also come in containers. But when you plant a tree, you want to make sure that the hole is exactly the right depth, so that where the tree flares out, where it goes from a vertical trunk to a horizontal root system, that root flare needs to be at grade.
At grade, even
So
at
the
the
ball
ground.
needs to be beneath the ground.
So the ball's beneath the ground, but the top of the ball, where that root flare is right at grade.
Oh, okay.
And then after you've dug the hole, and you always want to dig a big hole for a small plant, and get a lot of loose soil around it.
Should we fertilize them?
Not necessarily the first year, but
Okay.
the real thing is to get it at the right depth, to get it in a place where it's going to do well. So you want a tree in a sunny place. You want a tree that likes the full sun.
Yep.
Okay.
And finally, you want to make sure that you water it.
Water.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
Dave, if my tree doesn't look as great as it should be, there's hope out there. Companies like you
There is,
come
absolutely.
out and spray
Yep.
and do different
Yeah,
things.
so if you have a tree that you're concerned about, you should contact an arborist and have them come out and take a look at the tree, and they can provide you
I
with
know
recommendations.
my mother's been nursing her cherry tree along for probably 20 years now, and it's still blooming out there. I put it in the ground for a 1985, and it's still cranking.
Yeah.
So
But you bring up a good point, just safety out there. You know, we've had on the other end, you want to make sure someone like you also can look at trees, because when they do end their life cycle, leaving them up may not be the best thing. It might be time to take them down and plant something new so that it's safe for the kids in the yard and all that.
So a qualified arborist can do a tree risk assessment to determine you know, whether or not a tree is a high risk of failure and maybe needs to come down. And the thing about that is that if you have to take a tree down, you can always plant a new one.
Plant a new one, absolutely. And Friday is Arbor Day. This, you say, anytime except, well, 20 years ago is the best time to plant a tree, you tell us. But anytime, especially spring right now,
spring
is a really
great
great
time to plant trees. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to do with the whole family. Let them know it's important. Maybe pick out one you love. You planted a cherry tree for your mom in the 80s, and it's still there.
It's a gift that keeps on giving, right?
Yeah.